Hello and welcome once again to another episode of The Naked Turner. Today I have a piece of sugar maple or hard maple here. I've cut it into a very precise square shape and then marked out a center line on it, and I'm about to mount my faceplate, my 2.5-inch faceplate, to the back side of this piece, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. Before I get started, I really want to thank all of my subscribers for their continued support with regard to my channel and my wood turning. I really enjoy this community, and I just want to let everybody know that it seems like there have been some changes with regard to Google and YouTube, and I'm not sure why, but sometimes it's hard to leave comments for certain people. Sometimes I can't reply to certain comments that are made, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on. The other thing is that I've noticed I have had to resubscribe to people that I have already subscribed to, and I don't know exactly what's going on, but that's something that's happening, I guess, internally at YouTube. Maybe they're changing their platform or doing something like that. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but just keep checking in. I know some people aren't getting their notifications when I release a video, so keep checking in, looking for my content. I hope you enjoy it and are in some way inspired. Okay, so I have very carefully marked from corner to corner on this piece and aligned my faceplate and checked the center hole. Now I'm about to screw this piece down with some good screws here. Okay, so here it is mounted up. Turn it on. Turn the speed down a little bit for this part here. Touch it right here into the center. Make a little scribe mark. And I do that rather than doubling the size and getting close, just because it's easier for me to set the center and then pop it in there. Make a real light little indentation of where I'm going to be heading to. And then I'm noticing here that I want to go down just a wee little bit there. Something like that. And squaring up. And then I also want to move in just a hair so I have a little more chicken on the end of this tool rest here. Okay. So here it is mounted up, and I'm getting ready to turn the mortise. I have it spinning up around 18, and I'm going to increase that up to 2200 RPM. Alright, I'm using my 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch scraper and my 1/4 by 1/4 scraper and my skew chisel to make the mortise. Now what I'm going to do is sculpt some upswept wings. The way you do that, come in here, I'm going to define a foot right about to there. I'm spinning up around 2130 RPM. My handle, let me pull back a little so you can see this maybe a little better. Okay, so what I'm doing here, let me move some of these tools here, is I've got a very low handle so that I can rub the bevel of this tool. So I'm rubbing the bevel, now I'm pulling my handle up just a hair so it's making a cut, and then very lightly moving across the face. And I'm trying to curve out toward the outer points. And coming in. And I'm very lightly creating the curve that I want to see in this piece. handle and making the curve. Now I'm going to come in straight. And there we go. Okay. Okay, so you can see what I'm getting now. I'm getting these swept up edges here, swept up corners. And I don't know if you can see that very well from there, so let me change. Alright, so I'm starting the curves here. I'm coming out, creating this curved edge. I'm not quite there. I want to come in a little further and then come out here to a point, maybe leaving about 1/8 of an inch or so out here, hopefully. Coming back on. Low handle. Whoops, I got hung up on my tool rest there a little bit. That's the problem with doing the low handle sometimes. Okay, so I got a little bit of a funny curve there, so what I'm going to do, move my tool rest out a little and come in a little bit more at the angle that I'm trying to create here. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to do some shear scraping here. Try to blend this a little bit. Okay, so I've got it sanded down here to 320, which didn't take that long using my friction sander, which is made with a Milwaukee right angle drill. And if you want to see how to make this, Miguel Sanchez has a great video on how to make a friction sander. But essentially, you're just taking a regular hex hex coupler, 1/4 inch hex coupler, and epoxying it into a piece of hardwood, and then I put a piece of like anti-fatigue matting on that, glued that on, and then mounted this into a handle that I made that makes it real easy to get in and sand stuff like this fairly quickly. You still have to be careful, but it does help tremendously with the sanding process. So now I'm going to apply some sanding sealer. And this wood is so hard, I probably don't even need to apply any sanding sealer because it's like hard and polished right now. So I'm just putting this on anyway though, because it will help me get a little more luster, hopefully, in my finish. And going ahead and coating all this bottom surface. And I'll put a little on these edges too, even though most of this will be disappearing as I cut away the interior curve. So most of that will be indeed disappearing if things go well. Sometimes these don't turn out. I might crack a corner, but hopefully I won't do that. I'll try my best not to. And anyway, there's some sanding sealer on it, and you can start to see the nice grain that this has and the fire that's in it. Anyway, I'll let that soak in a little. Maybe apply a little bit more. If I see any spots that look like they're lacking, like there was one right there, another one right over there. Some more out on these edges probably, because that's where it'll suck it in, especially on these two end grain edges. That's where it'll really want to get absorbed. So I'll do both of those end grain pieces with a little extra. And a little more right down in here. Alright, there we go. Now I'll turn this on. Okay, so now I'm going to put some of my friction rub finish directly on top of that. Okay. Alright, and now some of my friction rub, which is the same exact thing, only with a little bit of Howard's Butcher Block conditioner mixed into it. And that's the kind with the waxes, not the other kind that's just the mineral oils. Okay. And so with the oils and the waxes, what that allows this finish to do is not gum up as much when I'm spinning it and friction rubbing it. It helps to keep the shellac from actually just turning into a gum and gumming up on me. So I'm putting a fairly healthy amount of this on all the way around. And now I'll turn on the lathe, and I'm right around 1200 RPM here. You gotta be real careful out here on these tips. And that's why what I do is ball this up. Get a little heat going. I'm going to turn up the speed a little more, getting up here to 1700. Okay. Now I'm reballing. And tiny bit of finish on it. And I'm just very lightly touching here, allowing the friction of the spin to do the work. You don't want to be pushing into it because you don't want to catch or tear your rag that you're applying with. And you also don't want to be gripping it too hard. You just kind of want to be holding it tight and firm and just letting it rub across the edge, keeping a curved surface so it doesn't catch a hard edge. Alright. There we go. That's got a real nice finish going on it right now. So now I'm going to be flipping it around and working on hollowing out the inside. Alright, so now I've got it mounted up on my 4-jaw scrolling chuck, and I'm going to be starting to work on hollowing out the inside and creating the inner shape on this piece. So let's see how well this goes. Okay, move some of these lights up a little bit so I can get in here. We're spinning freely, everything's locked down, and I'm I'm up around just a little over 2,000 RPM right here. And it looks like my tool rest is just a tiny bit high. Okay, bring my tool rest down some, something like that. And let's see, what do I want to do here? I think what I want to do is make a hollow in here. Okay. I'm going to try to do this, make a hollow in here, and then leave an edge, and then bring that edge out to these tips. So let's see, how am I going to do that here? I want to probably create a fairly sharp edge here that I come to. So let me try doing this here. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Okay, there's that. Now coming in with my scraper. This scraper now. Okay. Oh yeah, that's nice. Sweet. Okay, so now what I'll be doing is coming in and removing material up to this edge, and I'll leave a thin bowl edge, wall edge on that, wall thickness. Let's see if I can come in like this. And then like this. Okay, that's looking good. Now a low angle here. Here. Hoping you can see that well. Looks like you can. So the same thing, I have my handle low here, and then I'm turning my flute edge in towards the travel that I want to get. And continuing my cut. get up to there. Now, stop it. It's always good on these turnings to stop often and take a look at what you're getting. I'm starting to get a really nice shape here, so I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. Same thing, coming out of here, trying to watch the ghost edge, and just now I'm going to try to undercut a little bit in here so that I'm traveling back in with the curve of this bowl. Alright. Nice. So you can see what I'm getting here. I'm now down to about a 1/4 inch or so from each corner, and it's looking pretty even at this point. I do have one little piece of tear out from my earlier cutting over here, but I think I'm going to be able to sand most of that out. So now all I need to do is keep working this down, and it looks like it has some really interesting, nice grain in here. So now what I need to do is just remove some of this outer edge, and it's getting a real nice look. And I'll be able to go a little bit deeper on this bowl here in the middle. Okay, so right here on the end grain, because as I get out here to this end grain where it's like unsupported little tiny tubelets of end grain, they oftentimes will split out like this. So some of that will be taken care of in the sanding process, but I'd like to make some finer cuts out here now to try to remove some of that chipping out on those two end grain sides. Turning up at pretty high speed here still, right around 20, I go down here to 2300. Okay. Something like that. Let's see if that got rid of any of that tear out. Yes, it did. Okay, that got rid of most of the tear out, but I do have some ridges now. So now I've got to come back and very lightly do some scraping with extremely light passes. Alright, I'm working on refining the shape of the wings now that I got rid of the tear out, making the bowl a little bit deeper, checking the depth, and using my scrapers to get a nice smooth finish before finishing. I've just put some finish on this, and now I'm just kind of wiping off the patterns from spinning it. And I did some wet sanding with oil on this, and I see one little spot here. I want to do just a little bit more of this wet sanding out here. Whoops, sorry. A little wet sanding right there. Oil sanding. Same thing right there. And that should get all of it. Alright, I'm continuing to do some buffing and wet sanding to get rid of little imperfections in the finish, and then I'll spin it one last time to buff it. Alright, there it is. Finished piece. I'll take this off, take a few stills, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and share, and please by all means comment, whether it be a positive comment, some feedback of any kind is always welcome and enjoyed. So there you have it, the finished piece. I'm seeing a little tiny bit of finish that had, there we go. I think that got rid of it. Okay, I'll pull it off and show you the finished piece. Thanks again for watching.